I sat in the waiting room of Dr. Marcus Chin's private practice in downtown Chicago, thumbing through a parenting magazine while my wife Amanda underwent what should have been a routine 20-week ultrasound. We've been trying for a baby for 6 years, 3 miscarriages, 2 rounds of IVF, and enough heartbreak to last a lifetime. This pregnancy was our miracle, our last chance before we'd accepted that maybe parenthood just wasn't in our cards. Then the ultrasound tech's face went pale. She excused herself, said she needed to get the doctor. That was 20 minutes ago. When Dr. Chin finally emerged from the examination room, his hands were shaking, actually trembling. In the 3 years he'd been Amanda's OB-GYN, I'd never seen him anything but perfectly composed. Now his face had gone gray, and when he looked at me, I saw something I couldn't quite identify. Fear? Anger? Disgust? "Mr. Harrison," he said quietly, "I need you to leave. Right now." I stood up confused. "What? Is Amanda okay? Is the baby? Your wife is fine. But you need to leave this building immediately." His voice was low, controlled, but there was steel underneath. "I'm calling security if you don't go voluntarily." "I don't understand. What the hell is going on?" He leaned closer, and I saw his jaw clench. "Sir, I've been practicing medicine for 22 years. Well, I just saw on that ultrasound." He stopped himself. "You're not the father, and you need to leave before I do something I'll regret." The world tilted sideways. "What are you talking about? Of course I'm the father. We've been trying for years." "Mr. Harrison," he cut me off. "The baby your wife is carrying has physical markers that make paternity absolutely clear, and those markers don't match you. Now leave. I will have you removed." Before I could respond, 2 security guards appeared in the hallway. Dr. Chun turned his back on me and walked away, and I found myself being escorted out of the building in a daze, my mind refusing to process what I'd just heard. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 15 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, before my phone rang. "Amanda." "Michael, where did you go?" "Dr. Chun said you had an emergency at work." "An emergency at work?" He'd lied to her. Why would he lie? "Yeah," I heard myself say. "Crisis with a client." "I'm so sorry, honey. How'd the ultrasound go?" "Perfect." Her voice was bright, cheerful. "Baby's measuring exactly right. Strong heartbeat. Everything looks great. I'll show you the pictures when you get home." "Can't wait," I said, and hung up before she could hear my voice crack. "I need you to stay with me on this. Comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there, because what I discovered in the next 48 hours didn't just destroy my marriage. It exposed a conspiracy that had been 20 years in the making. My name is Michael Harrison. I'm 38 years old, a corporate attorney at Bennett and Cross in Chicago. And until 3 days ago, I thought I had the perfect life. Perfect wife, perfect home in Lincoln Park, perfect future with a baby on the way. I met Amanda Whitmore 7 years ago at Charity Gala. She was 28, stunning, working as an art curator at the Chicago Institute. I was 31, freshly made partner, and completely unprepared for how quickly I'd fall in love. We were married within a year. The fertility struggles started immediately. Amanda wanted children desperately, and when month after month showed negative pregnancy tests, she spiraled. The first miscarriage at 8 weeks devastated her. The second at 12 weeks was worse. The third, at 14 weeks, nearly broke us both. IVF became our obsession. We spent $80,000 across 2 rounds. The first failed completely. The second took, but ended in another miscarriage at 10 weeks. Our doctor recommended we take a break, focus on our marriage, consider adoption. Then, 6 months ago, Amanda got pregnant naturally. No IVF, no medical intervention. Just a miracle, she called it. A sign that we were meant to be parents. I believed her. God, I believed every word. Now, sitting in my car at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in November, I replayed Dr. Chin's words over and over. Physical markers that make paternity absolutely clear. What did that mean? And why had he looked at me with such barely controlled rage? I started the car and drove. Not home, not to my office. I drove to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where my college roommate David Park worked as a pediatric geneticist. David met me in the hospital cafeteria at 4 o'clock. One look at my face, and he knew something was catastrophically wrong. Talk to me, he said. I told him everything. The ultrasound, Dr. Chen's reaction, his insistence that I wasn't the father based on physical markers visible at 20 weeks. David's expression grew increasingly grim. Michael, at 20 weeks, you could see a lot on an ultrasound. Bone structure, facial features, certain genetic indicators. If Dr. Chen is certain about paternity based on visual markers alone. He paused. The baby must have very distinctive physical characteristics. Like what? Could be anything. Ethnic features, genetic conditions, familial traits. But for him to be that certain, that angry, David pulled out his phone. What's Amanda's background? Irish and German. Pale skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. And yours? Scottish and English. Brown hair, hazel eyes, average build. David typed something into his phone. Michael, I need you to be honest with me. Has Amanda been acting differently? Any unexplained absences, secretive behavior? No, she's been the same as always. Excited about the baby, maybe a little more tired than usual, but that's normal for pregnancy. Has she introduced you to any new friends recently? Anyone she's spending unusual amounts of time with? I started to say no, then stopped. Actually, yeah. About 8 months ago, she started volunteering at a community center on the south side. She goes there twice a week, says she's teaching art classes to underprivileged kids. I thought it was great, you know? Very Amanda. David's eyes met mine. Michael, what community center? What neighborhood exactly? Bronzeville, I think. She mentioned it's near 47th Street. He typed again, then showed me his phone. Is this it? The Bronzeville Cultural Center? I looked at the website. Yeah, that's the one. Why? David set down his phone carefully. That center runs programs for African American youth and families. It's a predominantly black community organization. The implication hung in the air between us. No, I said. No, that's impossible. Amanda wouldn't. Michael. David's voice was gentle but firm. Dr. Chen saw something on that ultrasound that made him certain you weren't the father. Something visible at 20 weeks. If Amanda has been spending significant time in Bronzeville. He didn't finish the sentence. I felt sick. You're saying the baby is black. I'm saying that might explain Dr. Chen's reaction and his certainty. Mixed-race babies often show distinctive features even in utero. Bone structure, nasal development, lip formation. An experienced obstetrician would recognize those markers. My hand was shaking now, but we did IVF. Twice. Could there have been a mix-up at the clinic? The IVF was months before this pregnancy, and those attempts failed. This baby was conceived naturally 6 months ago, right? Right. Then no, there was no clinic mix-up. Michael, he reached across the table. I'm so sorry, but your wife has been having an affair, and she got pregnant by someone else. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping loud against the floor. I need to go. Michael, wait. Let me help you. We should. But I was already walking away, my mind spinning. An affair. Amanda had been cheating on me. For how long? And with whom? I got in my car and just drove, no destination in mind, trying to process the impossibility of what I'd learned. The woman I loved, the woman I'd spent 6 years supporting through fertility struggles and loss, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. She was carrying another man's child and had planned to let me believe it was mine. That's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. She was going to let me raise another man's child. She was going to let me pay for everything, sacrifice everything, love this baby as my own, and I would never have known the truth. If Dr. Chen hadn't seen those ultrasound images, if he hadn't reacted the way he did, I would have lived my entire life believing a lie. At 6:30 p.m., my phone rang. Amanda again. Honey, are you coming home soon? I'm making your favorite pasta. Yeah, I said, my voice hollow. I'll be there soon. You sound weird. Are you okay? Just a rough day at work. I'll tell you about it when I get home. I hung up and sat there in the parking lot of a random Starbucks on the north side, trying to figure out my next move. I couldn't go home and pretend everything was normal, but I also couldn't confront her yet. Not until I knew the full truth. That's when I remembered something David had said. Has she introduced you to any new friends recently? I pulled out my phone and opened Amanda's Instagram. She'd always been active on social media, posting about her art, her students, our life together. I scrolled back 8 months to when she'd started volunteering in Bronzeville. The posts were innocent at first. Photos of artwork created by kids, murals being painted, community events. Amanda smiled in group shots, surrounded by volunteers and children. Then I saw him. In a photo from 6 months ago, exactly when Amanda would have conceived, there was a man standing close to her. Very close. He was tall, probably 6'3", with dark skin, a strong build, and an easy smile. Amanda's hand rested on his arm in a way that was far too familiar. The caption read, "Amazing day at the center with Marcus and the crew. So grateful for this community." Marcus. I clicked on the tag profile. Marcus Whitfield, 35, youth program director at the Bronzeville Cultural Center. His profile was full of photos of community work, basketball games, mentoring programs. And in at least a dozen posts over the past 8 months, there was Amanda. At a community barbecue, laughing together. At a mural unveiling, standing shoulder to shoulder. At a fundraising gala, Amanda wearing a dress I'd never seen before, Marcus's arm around her waist. The most recent photo was from 2 weeks ago. Amanda at the center, wearing a loose sweater that hid her pregnancy, Marcus standing behind her with his hands on her shoulders. The caption from Marcus's account, "This woman is changing lives every day. Blessed to know her." I stared at that photo for a long time, at the way he looked at her, at the way she leaned back into him. This wasn't just an affair. This was a relationship, and suddenly a lot of things made sense. The twice-weekly volunteer sessions that often ran late. The new clothes I'd never seen her buy. The way she'd started keeping her phone face down on the table. Her sudden enthusiasm for trying new restaurants on the South Side, places we'd never been together. She'd been building a whole, separate life. With him, my hands clenched around my phone so hard I thought the screen might crack. But beneath the rage, beneath the betrayal, my attorney brain was starting to function again. I needed evidence. Proof. Before I confronted Amanda, before I did anything, I needed to document everything. Because if this went where I thought it was going, divorce, custody battles, financial settlements, I needed an airtight case. I opened my laptop and started downloading every photo from both Amanda's and Marcus's social media accounts. Every post, every comment, every interaction, time-stamped and dated. Then I called my firm's private investigator, a former FBI agent named Sarah Mitchell who'd worked on several of our high-profile cases. She answered on the second ring. "Sarah, it's Michael Harrison. I need your help, and I need absolute discretion. What's going on?" I told her everything. The ultrasound, Dr. Chen's reaction, the social media posts, Marcus Whitfield. There was a long pause. Then, "Jesus, Michael. I'm so sorry. What do you need from me?" "Everything. I need surveillance on Amanda's movements. I need you to confirm the affair. Photos, videos, whatever you can get. And I need you to find out everything about Marcus Whitfield. I want to know who this man is that she's been." My voice broke. "Just find out everything. I'm on it. I'll have preliminary information by tomorrow morning." "But Michael, are you sure you want to go down this road?" "Some things, once you know them. I need to know the truth, Sarah. All of it." "Okay, I'll call you tomorrow." At 8 p.m., I finally went home. Amanda was waiting with dinner on the table, candles lit, a soft smile on her face. She looked beautiful. 7 years of marriage, and she could still make my heart skip a beat. Except now, looking at her, all I could see was the lie. "There you are." She came over and kissed me. I was getting worried. "Are you okay? You seem tense." "Just a brutal day," I said, hanging up my coat. "The Sterling case is getting complicated." "Oh no. Well, I made your favorite. Carbonara with that fancy pancetta from the Italian market." We sat down to eat, and Amanda talked about her day, about the baby, about nursery color schemes and potential names. She seemed genuinely happy, genuinely excited about our future together. I forced myself to smile, to nod, to respond appropriately. But inside, I was watching her like I'd never seen her before, analyzing every word, every gesture, looking for signs of the betrayal I now knew was there. "So the ultrasound looked good?" I asked casually. Dr. Chun didn't mention any concerns. "Nope, everything's perfect. He said the baby is measuring right on track." Do you want to see the pictures? She pulled out the ultrasound photos from her purse. I looked at the grainy black and white images, trying to see what Dr. Chen had seen. But to my untrained eye, it just looked like any ultrasound, a vague, baby-shaped blur. Beautiful, I said, and handed them back. That night, lying in bed next to my wife, listening to her breathing steady into sleep, I felt something inside me fundamentally break. Not just my heart, my entire sense of reality, of who I was and what my life meant. Tomorrow, Sarah would start her investigation. Tomorrow, I would begin building my case. But tonight, I was just a man lying next to a stranger, mourning the death of a marriage that had been dead for months without me even knowing it. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there in the dark, planning my next move and waiting for the truth to finally come out. Sarah called at 9:15 the next morning while I was sitting in my office, pretending to review briefs. "I've got preliminary information on Marcus Whitfield," she said. "And Michael, you're going to want to sit down for this." I was already sitting, but I gripped my desk anyway. "Tell me, Marcus Whitfield, 35, born and raised on the South Side. Father died when he was 8. Mother raised him and his 2 sisters alone. Full basketball scholarship to University of Illinois, graduated with honors in social work. Spent 5 years working in Chicago public schools before joining the Bronzeville Cultural Center 3 years ago as youth program director. Okay, criminal record. Clean, not even a parking ticket. Michael, by all accounts, this guy is a model citizen. Community leader, mentor, volunteers with at-risk youth. I talked to some people who know him. Everyone speaks highly of him. Great. My wife is cheating on me with a saint." The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. "There's more," Sarah continued. "I've been tracking Amanda's movements. Yesterday, after you left the doctor's office, she didn't go home. She drove straight to Marcus's apartment in Bronzeville." My stomach clenched. "How long was she there?" 2 hours. I've got time-stamped photos of her entering at 3:47 p.m. and leaving at 5:52 p.m. Send them to me. Already in your email. Michael, I've also been digging into their relationship timeline. Based on social media and witness accounts, they met 8 months ago when Amanda started volunteering. But the relationship turned romantic about 6.5 months ago, right around the time she would have conceived. 6.5 months ago. I tried to remember that period. It was late April, early May. Amanda had seemed happier than she'd been in months. I'd attributed it to her volunteer work giving her purpose after the fertility struggles. Now I knew the real reason. "Have you confirmed the physical affair?" I asked. "Working on it. I'm doing 24-hour surveillance starting today. If they meet up, I'll document everything." "But Michael," Sarah hesitated. "There's something else. Something I found that's concerning." "What?" I did a deep dive on Amanda's financial records. She opened a new bank account 4 months ago that you're not listed on. She's been transferring money from your joint account into it. Small amounts, $200 to $500 at a time, but it adds up. So far, she's moved about $15,000. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. She's stealing from me? Technically, it's a joint account, so legally it's her money too. But yes, she's been systematically moving funds without your knowledge. There's more. She's been making cash withdrawals from ATMs in Bronzeville, usually $200 to $300 at a time, always near Marcus's neighborhood. She's giving him money. I don't know for certain, but it seems likely. I'm going to try to confirm that today. I've also requested copies of her phone records, but that'll take a few days. After I hung up with Sarah, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at the photos she'd sent. Amanda walking into Marcus's apartment building. Amanda leaving 2 hours later, adjusting her hair. The affair was real. Not just an emotional connection, but physical. And she'd been planning this, preparing for it, moving money and covering her tracks. But why? Why pretend the baby was mine? Why stay married? That's when it hit me. Money. I was a successful attorney, making $350,000 a year. We owned a $1.2 million home in Lincoln Park, had substantial savings, investments, retirement accounts. If Amanda stayed married to me, let me believe the baby was mine, she'd have financial security. She could keep living the comfortable life she'd built while having her relationship with Marcus on the side. She was going to have it all. The devoted husband at home, the lover in Bronzeville, and the baby they'd made together. And I was going to pay for all of it. The rage that swept through me then was unlike anything I'd ever felt. I wanted to drive home, confront her, scream at her, demand answers. But I forced myself to stay calm, to think like an attorney. In Illinois, we have no-fault divorce, which means infidelity doesn't technically impact the division of assets. But it absolutely impacts custody, credibility, and settlement negotiations. If I could prove Amanda had been systematically deceiving me, planning to commit paternity fraud, and stealing marital assets, I could protect myself legally and financially. But I needed more evidence. I needed to catch them together. I needed proof that the baby wasn't mine. And I needed to understand the full scope of her plan before I made my move. So I did what any good attorney would do. I started building my case. Over the next 3 days, I became someone I didn't recognize. I installed a tracking app on Amanda's phone while she was sleeping, using a method Sarah had shown me that was legal as long as I owned the phone account, which I did. I set up cameras in our home, small, hidden ones in the living room, kitchen, and bedroom. Legal in Illinois as long as it's your own property and there's no expectation of privacy. I started documenting everything Amanda did, everywhere she went, every dollar she spent. I made copies of all our financial records, tax returns, property deeds. I gathered evidence of my income and stability. I prepared for war, and I watched. I watched her lie to my face every single day. She'd kiss me goodbye in the morning, tell me she loved me, then drive straight to Marcus's apartment. She'd come home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine and tell me she'd been at the community center. She'd plan our baby's nursery while carrying another man's child. On the 4th day, Sarah called with the evidence I'd been both dreading and needing. "I've got them," she said. Clear photographs of Amanda and Marcus together. Multiple encounters. Physical affection. Entering and exiting his apartment. Time-stamped and documented. "Michael, I'm sending you the file, but I want to warn you. These aren't easy to look at. Send them." The photos came through on my phone. I opened the file in my office, door locked, and forced myself to look at each one. Amanda and Marcus in his apartment window, visible from the street, embracing. Amanda and Marcus at a small restaurant in Bronzeville, holding hands across the table. Amanda and Marcus in his car, parked near the lake, kissing. Amanda and Marcus at the community center, his hand on her pregnant belly. That last one broke something in me. His hand on her belly, on the baby they'd made together. The way she smiled up at him. The intimacy of it. "Michael, you still there?" Sarah's voice came through the phone. "Yeah. There's one more thing. I've confirmed she's been giving him money. He's behind on rent, has some credit card debt from his nonprofit work. Amanda's been helping him financially. The cash withdrawals match up with deposits into his account. So she's funding her affair with my money." "Yes." I thanked Sarah and hung up. Then I sat there in my office, looking at these photographs that proved my wife's betrayal, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. I wasn't going to give her a chance to spin this, to cry, to manipulate me into staying. I was going to build an absolutely airtight case, protect my assets, ensure she couldn't claim I was the father of that baby, and then I was going to serve her with divorce papers so comprehensive she wouldn't know what hit her. But first, I needed to know one more thing. I needed to know if Marcus knew about me. Did he know Amanda was married? Did he know she was planning to pass his baby off as mine? Or was he as much a victim of her manipulation as I was? That evening, instead of going home, I drove to the Bronzeville Cultural Center. It was 6 p.m., and according to the center's schedule, Marcus would be there supervising an after-school basketball program. I walked into the gym and saw him immediately. Tall, athletic, coaching a group of teenage boys in a scrimmage. He was patient, encouraging, the kind of mentor every kid deserves. I stood in the doorway, watching him, and felt something unexpected. Not rage, not hatred, just exhaustion. This man had no idea he'd become part of a lie that was destroying my life. When the practice ended, I approached him. "Marcus Whitfield?" He turned, surprised. "Yeah, that's me. Can I help you?" Up close, I could see why Amanda had been attracted to him. He had an easy confidence, kind eyes, a genuine warmth that was hard to fake. "My name is Michael Harrison," I said. "I'm Amanda's husband." The color drained from his face. "What? Husband, we've been married for 7 years. She's pregnant with your baby. And I'm guessing from your reaction that she never mentioned any of this. Marcus took a step back, his hand going his head. No, that's... Amanda's not married. She told me she was divorced. She said, she lied. I said quietly, about everything. She's been living with me, sleeping in my bed, planning a future for our baby. Except it's not our baby. It's yours. He was shaking his head, denial written all over his face. This can't be real. Amanda wouldn't. We've been together for 6 months. She told me her ex-husband was abusive, that she'd left him, that she was starting over. She's been staying at my place twice a week, telling me she had her own apartment but was slowly transitioning. She was lying, I repeated. Every word of it. She lives with me, in our home in Lincoln Park, the home I paid for. She was never divorced. She's been playing both of us. Marcus sat down heavily on the gym bleachers, his face in his hands. Oh God, I had no idea. I never would have. She told me the baby was mine, but that she needed time to adjust before we could go public. I thought she was just being cautious after a bad marriage. I sat down next to him, and for a moment, we were just two men who'd been deceived by the same woman. The baby is yours, I said. The doctor confirmed it based on the ultrasound. Physical markers that make it clear I'm not the father. He thought I knew. He was trying to protect me by making me leave. I don't understand. Why would she do this? Why lie to both of us? Because she wanted everything, I said. My money, my home, my stability. Your baby, your love, your presence. She thought she could have it all. And if that doctor hadn't seen what he saw, she probably would have. We sat there in silence for a long moment. Then Marcus looked at me. What are you going to do? Divorce her. Protect myself legally. Make sure that baby's paternity is legally established as yours, not mine. And then, I paused. And then I'm going to move on with my life. I'm so sorry, man. I genuinely had no idea. If I'd known she was married. I believe you, I said. And I did. Marcus Whitfield was a victim in this too. Maybe not to the same extent, but Amanda had lied to him just as comprehensively as she'd lied to me. What do you want from me? Marcus asked. The truth. If she's told you anything about her plans, about what she intended to do after the baby was born, I need to know. I'm building a legal case, and anything you can tell me will help. Marcus thought for a moment. She talked about moving. Said once the baby was born and she got settled, we could relocate. Start fresh somewhere away from Chicago, away from her past. She mentioned Phoenix or Austin. She said she had savings, enough to help us get started. The savings she stole from our joint account, I said. She's been moving money for months. 15,000 so far that I know of. Marcus's face hardened. She's been giving me money, telling me it was from her art sales, helping me with rent and bills because my nonprofit work doesn't pay much. I thought she was just generous. But it was your money. Yeah, I'll pay you back. Every cent. I don't want any part of this. I looked at him. I believe you. But Marcus, you need to understand something. That baby is yours. Legally, financially, biologically. When this divorce happens, you're going to be the one responsible for child support, for raising that child. This isn't something you can walk away from. I know. He swallowed hard. I'm not trying to walk away. I wanted to be a father. I want to raise my child. I never meant for it to happen like this. I never meant to be part of hurting someone. Neither did I said. But here we are. I stood up to leave, then turned back. One more question. Did she tell you she loved you? Marcus met my eyes. Every day. I nodded. She told me the same thing. This morning, before I left for work. She tells me every day, too. As I drove home, I felt something shift inside me. The rage was still there, but it was colder now, more focused. Amanda had built an elaborate lie, deceived two men, and planned to commit paternity fraud. She'd stolen money, broken her vows, and constructed an entire false reality. But unlike her, I wasn't going to lie. I wasn't going to manipulate. I was going to use the truth, cold, documented, irrefutable truth, to ensure she faced the consequences of her choices. Tomorrow, I would take the next step. But tonight, I had one final performance to give. I had to go home and pretend, one last time, that I didn't know my entire life was built on lies. When I got home at 8 p.m., Amanda was on the couch, hand on her belly, watching TV. She smiled when she saw me. "Hey, honey. Long day." "Very long," I said, kissing her forehead. The gesture felt mechanical, performative. "How are you feeling?" "Good. The baby's been active today. Want to feel?" She took my hand and placed it on her stomach. I felt movement under my palm, the baby kicking. "Marcus's baby, not mine." "That's amazing," I said, pulling my hand away. Amanda frowned. "Are you okay? You seemed off all week." "Just stress at work. The Sterling case is heading to trial, and it's consuming everything." She bought it. She always bought everything I said because she assumed I was as good a liar as she was. That night, while Amanda slept beside me, I lay awake making my final preparations. Tomorrow, everything would come to light. But I needed one more piece of evidence. I needed Dr. Chin's medical testimony. At 8 a.m. the next morning, I sat in Dr. Marcus Chin's office, his nurse having squeezed me in for an urgent consultation. Dr. Chen looked uncomfortable when he entered. "Mr. Harrison, I'm not sure this is appropriate. Given the situation, I know about the affair," I said bluntly. "I know the baby isn't mine. I know my wife has been cheating with a man named Marcus Whitfield for 6 months. And I need your help." His shoulders relaxed slightly. I apologized for my reaction at the ultrasound. It was unprofessional. But when I saw those images, the baby's features... He paused. "Mr. Harrison, I've delivered hundreds of babies. I could see immediately the child was biracial. And knowing your background, knowing your wife had told me you were the father through IVF treatments. I understand. You were trying to protect me. And you did. If you hadn't reacted that way, I never would have known the truth. What do you need from me?" "Medical testimony. Documentation that you observed features at 20 weeks gestation inconsistent with my paternity. I'm filing for divorce, and I need to establish beyond doubt that I'm not the biological father of that child." Dr. Chin nodded slowly. "I could provide a medical affidavit. But Mr. Harrison, you should also request a paternity test. Prenatal testing is available." "No," I interrupted. "I'm not putting that baby at risk, even a minimal risk, for a test. I have enough evidence. The medical observations, the timeline, the affair documentation, and the biological father's willingness to testify. It's enough." "Very well. I'll have my attorney prepare the affidavit. It should be ready in 3 days." I thanked him and left, checking one more item off my list. Everything was falling into place. That afternoon, I met with my divorce attorney, Catherine Reeves, a shark in designer suits who specialized in high-asset divorces. I'd worked with her firm before on corporate cases. Now she was working for me. "Michael," she said, spreading my evidence across her conference table. "This is one of the most comprehensive divorce cases I've seen. You've documented everything. I'm an attorney. I know how these things work. The affair evidence is solid. The financial theft is documented. The paternity fraud is clear. And you have the biological father willing to cooperate. Yes, Marcus Whitfield is willing to establish paternity and take financial responsibility for the child. He didn't know Amanda was married." Catherine nodded, making notes. "Here's what we're going to do. We file for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Illinois is no fault, so we don't need to cite adultery, though we'll use it in negotiations. We immediately request a court order preventing Amanda from accessing joint accounts. We petition to exclude you from any parental responsibility for the child, with supporting medical and DNA evidence. And we push for a settlement that protects your assets." "What about the house? You owned it before the marriage, correct?" "Yes. I bought it 3 years before I met Amanda. Then it's your separate property. She has no claim to it. The joint account funds she moved, we'll recover those in the settlement. She'll be entitled to spousal support for a period, but given the fraud and the relatively short marriage, it won't be substantial." "I don't care about the money," I said. "I just want this over." "I understand. But Michael, you should care about the money. She stole from you, lied to you, and planned to commit paternity fraud. Don't let her walk away from this unscathed." Catherine was right. This wasn't just about ending the marriage. This was about justice. "When do we serve her?" I asked. "I can have the papers ready by Monday. Where do you want to do it?" I thought about that. I could have her served at home, privately. or at the community center, publicly. Or, here's what I want to do, I said. I want to serve her at her next OB appointment. I've checked her calendar. She has an appointment with Dr. Chin next Tuesday at 2 p.m. I want her served there, in the place where this whole lie began. Catherine smiled grimly. That's poetic. I'll arrange it. The weekend was surreal. Amanda and I went about our normal routine, grocery shopping, dinner with friends, planning the nursery. She was excited, affectionate, seemingly without a care in the world. Meanwhile, I was counting down the hours until Tuesday, until the moment when her carefully constructed lie would finally collapse. On Monday evening, Amanda said she was going to the community center for an evening event. Instead, according to the tracker on her phone, she drove straight to Marcus's apartment. I told Marcus what was coming, that the divorce papers were being filed, that Amanda would soon know everything. He'd asked me what he should do. Tell her the truth, I said. Tell her that her husband knows about the affair, knows about the baby, and is ending the marriage. See how she reacts. So while Amanda thought she was having a cozy evening with her boyfriend, Marcus was confronting her with reality. He texted me at 9 p.m. She's in denial. Claims you're abusive and controlling, that she was going to leave you anyway, that this speeds up her timeline. She's trying to manipulate me into believing she's the victim. I texted back. Did you tell her about the evidence? Yes. She doesn't believe you'd actually divorce her. Says you love her too much, that you'd never go through with it. She really thought I'd stay. After everything, she believed I was so weak, so desperate, that I'd accept raising another man's child just to keep her. She didn't know me at all. Amanda came home at 11 p.m., slipping into bed beside me. I pretended to be asleep, felt her curl against me, heard her whisper, I love you, Michael. The lies just kept coming. Tuesday morning, I woke up before Amanda. I'd packed a bag the night before, clothes, toiletries, important documents, my laptop. I loaded it into my car while she was still sleeping, then came back inside to make coffee like it was any other morning. Big day, Amanda asked, coming into the kitchen at 7 a.m. Potentially, I said. You have your OB appointment today, right? Oh yeah, 2 p.m. Do you want to come? I have a meeting I can't move, but I'll see the pictures later. She kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me, and I watched her drive away to her art consulting job, a job that paid $45,000 a year, barely enough to cover her personal expenses, let alone support child. She'd been counting on my income to fund her future. That future was about to disappear. At 1:45 p.m., I received a text from Catherine. Process server is in position at Dr. Chen's office. Are you sure you want to do this? I typed back, yes. Proceed. At 1:58 p.m., I sat in my car in the parking lot of a coffee shop 3 blocks from Dr. Chen's office, waiting. My phone was connected to the tracker on Amanda's phone. I watched the little blue dot arrive at the medical building, watched it enter, watched it stop moving. She was in the waiting room. At 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. Catherine, it's done. She's been served. Michael, are you okay? Yeah, I said, but I wasn't sure that was true. She tried to refuse the papers, but the server was professional. Dr. Chen's office staff witnessed everything. She's currently in an examination room, presumably reading the divorce petition. And the paternity exclusion, it's all there. Medical affidavit from Dr. Chen. Statement from Marcus Whitfield acknowledging paternity. Timeline documentation. Bank records showing the stolen funds. Photographs of the affair. Everything. I sat there in my car, hands on the steering wheel, and felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just emptiness where my marriage used to be. My phone buzzed. Amanda calling. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. A text. Michael, what the fuck is this? Another text. Call me right now. Another. You can't do this. I'm pregnant. You're the father. This is insane. The lies continued even now, even when she knew I had evidence. I texted back one sentence. I know about Marcus. I know everything. Don't come home. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, we need to talk. Please. I can explain everything. No explanation needed. My attorney will be in contact regarding the settlement. You have 24 hours to collect your personal belongings from the house. After that, the locks will be changed. Michael, please. I love you. The baby is not mine. Marcus Whitfield has acknowledged paternity. Stop lying. My phone rang. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined. She called 7 more times. I turned off my phone. For the next 3 hours, I sat in that coffee shop, laptop open, fielding emails from Catherine about next steps. Amanda had apparently left Dr. Chin's office in hysterics, driven to Marcus's apartment, and according to his text to me, was completely falling apart, alternating between rage and desperation. At 6 p.m., I drove home. My home. The home I'd bought with my own money. The home that was legally mine. The home Amanda had turned into a stage for her lies. I half expected her to be there, waiting, ready to manipulate or seduce, or cry her way back into my life. But the house was empty. The tracking app showed she was still at Marcus's apartment. I changed the locks anyway, called a locksmith, paid extra for same-day service, and by 8 p.m., Amanda's keys no longer worked. Then I did something I'd been putting off. I walked through our home and removed every trace of her. Photos from the walls, her clothes from the closet, her toiletries from the bathroom, her art supplies from the spare room. I packed it all into boxes and stacked them in the garage. The nursery was harder. We'd spent weeks planning it, painting the walls a soft yellow, assembling the crib I'd bought. I stood in that doorway for a long time, mourning not just the loss of my marriage, but the loss of the future I'd imagined, the child I'd wanted to raise. But that child was never mine. That future was never real. I closed the nursery door and went to bed alone for the first time in 7 years. The next morning, I woke to 47 missed calls from Amanda and a string of texts that progressed from apologetic to angry to desperate and back again. I'm sorry. Please let me explain. You're overreacting. We can work through this. How dare you humiliate me like this? I'll fight you on everything. You won't get away with this. Please, Michael. I'm pregnant and scared. Don't abandon me. You're going to regret this. I deleted them all and called Catherine. Amanda's attorney reached out, she said. They want to negotiate. She's willing to agree to the divorce and the paternity exclusion if you agree to a settlement that includes spousal support and division of assets. What are they asking? $200,000 lump sum, 3 years of spousal support at $3,000 per month, and half of all joint assets accumulated during the marriage. I laughed. Actually laughed. She stole from me, committed fraud, and she wants $200,000? That's the opening position. I'll counter with nothing. No spousal support, no asset division. She gets her personal property and whatever was in her name only. You keep everything else. Do it. Over the next 2 weeks, the divorce played out like a chess match. Amanda's attorney tried every angle, claimed she was a victim of emotional abuse, claimed the affair evidence was obtained illegally. It wasn't. Claimed I was trying to abandon my child. The paternity test I'd finally agreed to prove definitively that I wasn't the father. Marcus had provided a DNA sample voluntarily. The test came back 99.9% probability that he was the biological father. It was official, documented, irrefutable. Amanda fought anyway. She wanted money, wanted support, wanted me to pay for a child that wasn't mine. Her attorney argued that I'd accepted paternity initially, that I should be responsible regardless of biology. But Catherine destroyed every argument. We had documentation of the lies, the theft, the systematic fraud. We had medical testimony. We had the affair evidence. We had everything. Finally, 6 weeks after I'd served her with divorce papers, Amanda agreed to a settlement. She got no lump sum, no spousal support, no division of assets. She got her personal property, the money that was in her individual account, about $8,000, and that was it. The stolen $15,000 from our joint account, she had to repay it. Monthly installments deducted from her paychecks. The house, the savings, the investments, my retirement accounts, all mine. She walked away from our 7-year marriage with almost nothing. The divorce was finalized on a cold Monday in January. I sat in the courtroom next to Catherine while Amanda sat across the aisle next to her attorney, her pregnant belly prominent at 32 weeks. The judge reviewed the settlement agreement, confirmed both parties agreed to the terms, and signed the decree. The marriage between Michael Harrison and Amanda Whitmore Harrison is hereby dissolved, he said. Mr. Harrison is legally excluded from any parental rights or responsibilities regarding the minor child to be born to Ms. Whitmore. The court finds that Marcus Whitfield is the biological father and shall be responsible for all parental duties. Just like that, it was over. 7 years of marriage ended in a 5-minute hearing. As we left the courtroom, Amanda tried to approach me. "Michael, please, can we just talk?" "No," I said, not breaking stride. "I made mistakes, but I never stopped loving you. If you would just—" "You never loved me, Amanda. You loved my money and my stability. You loved the life I could provide while you built a separate life with someone else. That's not love. That's fraud. The baby deserved a father who—" "The baby has a father, Marcus Whitfield, who, by the way, you also lied to and manipulated. He thought you were divorced, thought you were free, thought you were building a future together. You lied to everyone." Her face crumpled. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you. Everything just got out of control, and I didn't know how to stop it. You could have told me the truth at any point. Instead, you planned to commit paternity fraud and let me raise another man's child while you continued your affair. Don't expect sympathy from me. I walked away, and this time, she didn't follow. 3 months later, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Marcus. Amanda had the baby. A boy. We named him Joshua. "I wanted you to know. I'm sorry again for everything that happened. I'm going to be the father he deserves." I stared at that text for a long time. Joshua, a baby who existed because of lies and betrayal, but who deserved none of the blame for his parents' choices. I texted back, "Congratulations. I hope you're both very happy." And I meant it. Not for Amanda, but for that innocent child who needed a father. Marcus was a good man who'd been caught in Amanda's web, just like I had. If anyone could break the cycle and give that boy a good life, it was him. A year after the divorce was finalized, I stood in the office of Dr. Elizabeth Santos, a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma. I'd spent the past months trying to move on, throwing myself into work, traveling, rebuilding my life. But the anger remained, simmering under everything I did. "You were betrayed in one of the worst ways possible," Dr. Santos said during our first session. "Your wife didn't just have an affair. She constructed an elaborate lie that would have impacted the rest of your life. It's normal to feel angry. When does it stop?" I asked. "When do I stop feeling like I failed somehow?" "You didn't fail, Michael. You trusted your wife. That's not a failure. That's what marriage requires. She's the one who failed. She's the one who broke every vow she made to you." Over the next months, therapy helped me understand something crucial. Amanda's betrayal wasn't about me. It wasn't because I wasn't good enough, or attentive enough, or anything enough. It was about her choices, her character, her willingness to lie and manipulate to get what she wanted. I started dating again. Cautiously at first, always waiting for the other shoe to drop for signs of deception. But slowly, with Dr. Santos' help, I learned to trust again. Not blindly, not naively, but carefully and with open eyes. 2 years after the divorce, I remarried. Her name is Rachel. She's a federal prosecutor, and she's the most honest person I've ever met. She knows my whole story, every detail of Amanda's betrayal, and she's never once made me feel like I'm damaged goods. "You're not broken," she told me on our second date, when I nervously explained my divorce. "You're someone who loved deeply, trusted completely, and survived betrayal. That makes you strong, not weak. We have a good life. A life built on honesty, communication, and mutual respect. Everything my marriage to Amanda wasn't." I sometimes think about that day in Dr. Chen's office, when his hand shook and he told me to leave. How one moment, one reaction from a principled doctor, changed the entire trajectory of my life. If he hadn't seen those ultrasound markers, if he hadn't reacted so viscerally, if he hadn't forced me to leave and made me question everything, I would be raising Marcus's child right now, believing it was mine, while Amanda continued her affair. Dr. Chen saved me, not just from paternity fraud, but from a lifetime of living a lie. I called him about 6 months after the divorce to thank him. He was quiet on the phone for a moment, then said, "Mr. Harrison, I violated no medical ethics by what I did that day. Your wife had told me you were the father through IVF. When I saw clear evidence that couldn't be true, I had a duty to inform you. I'm glad you took that information and protected yourself. You changed my life, I said. No, sir. I just gave you information. You're the one who had the courage to face the truth and act on it. That took real strength. I want you to understand something important if you're reading this story. Betrayal like this happens more often than you think. Paternity fraud, affair partners, financial deception. These aren't just plot points in stories. They're real situations that destroy real lives every single day. If something feels wrong in your relationship, trust your instincts. If your partner is secretive, defensive, or deflecting, don't ignore those red flags. If financial irregularities appear, investigate them. If you notice changes in behavior, ask questions. And if you discover betrayal, don't let shame or embarrassment stop you from protecting yourself. Document everything. Seek legal counsel. Build your case methodically. Don't confront until you have all the evidence you need. I'm not telling you to be paranoid or suspicious of everyone. I'm telling you to be aware, to trust but verify, to love but not blindly. Amanda's betrayal taught me that some people are capable of sustaining elaborate lies for extended periods. They can look you in the eye, tell you they love you, and be planning your deception in the same breath. But here's what else I learned. You can survive betrayal. You can rebuild. You can trust again. It's not easy, and it requires work and support and time. But it's possible. Today, 3 years after Dr. Chen's hand shook and changed my life, I'm happily remarried. I'm successful in my career. I have genuine friendships, a strong relationship with my family, and a future built on truth instead of lies. Amanda? According to mutual acquaintances, she and Marcus broke up about a year after Joshua was born. The stress of single parenthood, financial struggles, and the foundation of lies their relationship was built on proved too much. Last I heard, she's working retail and living with her parents, struggling to make ends meet. Marcus has custody of Joshua. He's apparently an excellent father, involved and devoted. That child got one good parent, at least. I feel no satisfaction in Amanda's struggles. Just a quiet acknowledgement that actions have consequences. She made her choices. She faces the results. If you're watching this story and something resonates with you, if you see signs in your own relationship that make you uncomfortable, don't ignore them. Trust is essential in marriage, but so is vigilance. The two aren't mutually exclusive. And if you've been betrayed, know this, it's not your fault. You didn't cause it by working too much, or not being attentive enough, or any other excuse the unfaithful partner will give. Betrayal is a choice made by someone who decided their wants were more important than their vows. You can survive this. You can rebuild. You can find happiness again. I'm living proof. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on this story. Where are you watching from? Have you ever experienced betrayal in a relationship? How did you handle it? Subscribe to this channel for more true stories about survival, justice, and rebuilding after life's worst moments. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who need to hear them. Remember, trust your instincts, document everything, and never let anyone convince you that what you know is wrong. The truth always comes out eventually. Make sure you're the one controlling when and how that happens. Stay strong out there. And remember, sometimes the worst day of your life is the first day of your new life. Mine certainly was.